super simple to,
Yeah, bet we can figure that out.
Well, Justin, we have enough people for our panel, and we'll give Elias Franz from VCU Sustainability another second.
Well, hello, Mark.
Hey, Libby.
Libby, how are you?
Oh, we're so good. The boys
This
and
is
I
fun.
tonight.
This is fun. Mm-hmm. Gonna miss MASH.
Pretty sure you know what happens.
Yeah, I know. I forget though. That's the good thing, you know.
There's
I
a
remember.
martini at some point.
Yeah.
Hot
Like-
Lips will be reporting to the general. FYI.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Thanks for coming to the cleanup walk around the 311 tour.
It was our pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I got your email and I reported
Good.
that house today.
Good.
More because they have a pile of garbage in the front yard again that's blown into all of our yards. But
Yeah. The problem is they don't have a side yard or a backyard or the other side yard.
Well,
details.
I know. Details.
while we're
Big
waiting,
house.
Mark, I can go ahead and share that information about the 311 email, and I'll go ahead and put it into the chat so we can take care
Do
of
it.
that. I went ahead and created an email, Maymont Civic League 311@gmail.com. And the password is Maymont 311 code. It's not so tricky. I'm going to put it in the chat in just a second. So for anyone who doesn't know, like I didn't really know until we did this great walk around with Amy and Stephanie and some other neighbors. Thank you guys for coming out. You can download the RBA 311 app on your phone, and then it's like one centralized place to record any issues we have in our neighborhood. Construction work that doesn't have permits, broken sidewalks, overhanging tree limbs, whatever it is. Sewers overflowed. So we walked around and did that in the neighborhood on Saturday. But one, if we use a centralized email, then Amy can pull a report of just everything that our neighborhood is concerned about. And also if someone doesn't want to attach a complaint with their own name, this gives you a little bit more of saying like, I'm a Maymont resident. So that's the most important part. So I said, I'm going to put that into the chat now. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach out.
So that way, if we want to report our neighbor parking pickup trucks in his yard, we can without having him shoot us.
That is true. You could do that. It would be a little more anonymous. That's not really the point, but it might make someone feel a little more comfortable. The biggest point is that it actually gets everything consolidated so that Amy can pull a report or someone else can pull a report and Stephanie and see the things that everyone in the neighborhood is concerned about in one spot versus searching by different addresses.
Yeah, and this weekend, I mean, just from the 5 of us, and Mark put his in a different way, or a different account. I mean, we logged almost 60 concerns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So our life mission now, Amy, and Maymont Civic League Association is make a believer out of Mark Brannon for 311.
No, I think it's good. I support 311. If there's an algorithm that makes sense out of it all, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome tool. And the other reason why it's advantageous for us is because it creates a tracking number. So if it's an issue that's been reported multiple times, it allows us to, have some methodology and some proof that we've submitted it multiple times with the city.
Well,
So
being
that's
able to submit to the neighborhood, that's a real helpful thing.
Yep. Ooh, we made a believer out of Mark. Yes.
I just downloaded it. I just downloaded it. Can we get a Woodland Heights one too?
Yeah. Do
We have a Woodland Heights one.
Oh, we already have one? Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Too many champagne bottles rolling around over there, Woodland Heights?
Always, Mark. It's south of the river. South of the river, people get down.
Oh, that's right.
Now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Nope.
right.
That's right.
Well, let's go ahead and see who else we had. I don't think we have Eliza's friends from the VCU office. And if he comes and joins us, we can let him in somehow, I assume.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
he was offering a survey, and it's about the Amelia School property on Colorado and Amelia Street, I guess. And they have a project, and there was a survey involved, and so I don't want to say too much, but they have an idea of a significant planting of trees in the southeast corner of that lot, which would be the corner of Meadow and Colorado. 100-some trees. So, you know, I don't know what else to say about it. Great, sounds great to me. Knock yourself out. I mean, it's a good thing, but he wants to report on that. If he comes on, we'll do that. And Andrew, let me introduce you quickly by saying the name of your company incorrectly. Virident is over on Main Street, and I met somebody that Andrew works with years ago, serving on the Green City Commission, which doesn't have a city website. And Casey McGurran is involved with this group. It's a not-for-profit, and I think a lot of what Andrew has to offer is a lot of things that would be helpful, especially to a lot of the homes that we have in this neighborhood. So, Andrew. Now we've lost him. I talked too much. I put him to sleep.
I'm here. Was that my
Talk
cue?
away, lad. Present away.
All right, great. Thanks so much for the opportunity. I'll just take a few minutes. I am with Virident. We are a nonprofit based in Richmond, actually at 1431 West Main Street. You've probably driven by the office or walked by the office or biked by the office many a time. And you may have also heard of another nonprofit in Richmond, the Richmond Region Energy Alliance. And Susan Hill, she was a Randolph resident for a while. She was executive director, but one of the things Richmond Region Energy Alliance did was provide folks with home energy audits. And Virident has done that for a long time too. And back in the spring, those two organizations merged. And so now I am heading up Virident's a new department at Virident called Community Energy Services, where our goal is to help folks in the Richmond region do better by their houses, to understand energy and health and safety and air quality, durability, moisture. We call it building science, which really grows out of the green building movement to help make our houses, to me, it's about quality. It's helping make our houses work right for us. And if they use too much energy, that's sort of a fundamental flaw. So our core service for the Community Energy Services Department is to come to folks' homes and do what we call a home energy audit or assessment or evaluation or inspection. Audits, people don't like the word audit, but it's 2 syllables and everything else is 3 or 4 syllables. So we always revert to the quickest one. I actually, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was at Amy Robbins' house. I think when she was in Randolph. So maybe she can vouch. At that time, I was with my private company. Since I've been with some nonprofits for the last 5 years or so. So I guess it was 6 years ago I was at Amy's house. We find we're there to not to pass or fail you. We're there to help you. We're there to help find opportunities to save money, to solve air quality problems. I have found leaking hot water pipes and crawl spaces people don't know about. I've found totally disconnected ducts in attics. I go to the places you don't want to go. I get excited about going in attics and crawl spaces because that's where you learn things. That's where you find wasted money. And it's not always an expensive fix. There are very cheap fixes. So we are offering a walk-through home energy audit for $45, which obviously doesn't begin to cover our costs to do it. We are doing this, the way we really make our money is there's a rebate from Dominion Energy that we can monetize. And Dominion is actually buying down energy demand in the community. So they essentially compensate us for installing LED lights and insulation piping on your hot water pipes if you have an electric water heater. So you'll get those things at no added cost. You pay a $45 flat fee. You get a professional inspection by someone who's been in the business for decades. And if you still have a bunch of CFLs or incandescents, I'll install as many LEDs as I can and insulate and go in your crawl space and your basement and insulate hot water pipes, which has an amazing payback. It's remarkable. So that's our quick pitch. We relaunched RIA's Solarize campaign. So we are right now providing free solar evaluations for folks and looking at your house, even do a cost benefit analysis for you. And if you're a good candidate, we have vetted contractors that will pass your name along to. There's no fixed price for it, but it's you know, we still let the contractor give you their best price. We've made sure it's easy for everybody. And if you're just curious, give us a call. VIRIDIANT, Viridiant.org. We're not at the office, so I can't say stop by sometime, but Viridiant.org. In the navigation bar under homeowners, you'll see community energy services. So shoot me an email, and my email address is andrew.grigsby, G-R-I-G, maybe you can see it on my Zoom screen there, G-R-I-G-S-B-Y @viridiant.org. We're a local nonprofit. We've been here since '06, and we're here to help our neighbors and make it a greener, cleaner city. Thanks.
Great. Andrew, thanks so much. Thanks so much. There's a good neighbor on Main Street.
Andrew, can you put the relevant info in the chat on the side so we can
Yes,
capture it?
thank you so much. I will.
Yeah, we'd love to reach out to you.
Yeah,
Great.
and similarly, if anyone has a question for Andrew, now would be the time to unmute yourself to ask that. That's going to be the easiest way for this to flow.
Quick question.
Sure.
Are there extra, what kind of complications do you have? Like, I live in a condo, so can you do an audit of my condo, or is
Sure.
you
Sure.
restricted because it's a condo?
So the Dominion rebate is for single family attached or detached houses. So we wouldn't be able to, there'd be a different price is the long and short of it, because we can't use the rebate, but I can certainly come and I'd love to talk to your condo association.
Yeah, great. They probably need it.
Yeah.
Betsy, they're across the street from you when they're in the office.
I know, I've seen the truck a lot there. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
David, if you can give your report, and then I tell you what, I'm going to go backwards after our new lieutenant gives his introduction. I said he didn't have to give a report. He's only been there 13 days. Go back and we'll introduce the executive committee as we are here. So, Lieutenant.
Good evening and thank you. Have I been there 13 days yet? I'm not sure that it's been 13 days. My name is David Naoroz, and I'll spell the last name if you hadn't seen it yet. It's N as in November, A-O-R-O-Z. I've been with the department for just over 24 years now. For the last 8 years of being a lieutenant, I started in Sector 213, which is the Jeff Davis corridor. And then I was the executive officer of 2nd Precinct for a number of years. And then I moved across the river, and I was the FMT, which is the Focus Mission Team supervisor for 4th Precinct. Until earlier last year when I got moved to headquarters, and I'm became part of what's called Special Projects and Audit and Compliance, which then tied into Internal Affairs. So that's where I came from most recently, and Lieutenant Wu had moved over to 1st Precinct. He's now in Sector 112. So that was kind of a quick move for us both. So I am playing a little catch up. I will tell you that one of the things is I was most proud of a lot of things in the police department, but most proud of living in the city for as long as I've been a police officer up until this past summer, when our animals started outgrowing our house, so we had to move to the county where you're actually allowed to have animals over 1,000 pounds. So we have a small.
Begs the question.
Yes, I know. The horses can be quite tricky in the city. I will say that I loved living in the city. My sisters, I have a few sisters, and my sister-in-law is over on Hanover, and I have a few sisters in and around Maymont and then the north side. So it's being part of the city and being part of the community groups is near and dear and very important to me. I just literally came from another Zoom meeting, and it's nice not to have to drive from meeting to meeting and worry about traffic, where I can just kind of click over. So I'm glad I wasn't too late, and I appreciate everybody's patience. I will say there's a few things that we're working on and that I'm looking at. I like to look at things from a data point of view, and I'm sitting down. We had something happen at the office today, so I wasn't able to sit down with my analyst. But we're sitting down tomorrow and we're going over a number of the hot topics in Sector 313. And I know geographically it's not a huge sector, but it does encompass quite a few important areas. And Maymont, Randolph, the fan area, right, basically between where 3rd Precinct starts, down at Harrison up to Arthur Ashe Boulevard, and then it stops at Broad Street where we kind of partner up with 4th. So I've got that area. I've got Monument Avenue in that area, and there's quite a few things that I'm trying to catch up on. There are some goals of mine that I've kind of implemented, and unfortunately they have to do with property crime and whatnot. But I know a number of the issues often tend to be quality of life issues. And hopefully with that, I can get to our partners in other agencies. And I know you all were talking about the 311 app. That is one of those things that I used to use when I lived in Stratford Hills. I lived in Woodland Heights. I lived in a number of spots in the city, but that was a great app to use, and you can actually follow it along and see what they're doing. If they said they've marked it, checked and completed, and then you go out there and the branch is still hanging over your trash can area, and it's like getting ready to, it's a Widowmaker branch. It's one of those things that you haven't completed this because it's still there. You can take a picture of it and share it. So that's kind of important. Now, the only other, little check the box thing I'm going to remind people of is 'tis the season. Package thefts, we had 3 this past week. And unfortunately see that kind of going up, and it's something that it's just like theft from motor vehicle. You just kind of got to remind your neighbors, or maybe at least in my old neighborhood, folks would take the package if it was left out front and move it around to the side, or take it into their house themselves and text their neighbor. And that was just something that some folks did. And I know if you don't know your neighbor, that's not going to exactly work out, but it's going to be, unfortunately, quite a bit. I at least looking at it and maybe kind of like speculating and looking at the numbers, this is traditionally where we start to see the rise because the holidays are coming up. As crazy as that sounds, that I just said, the holidays are coming up. Yep.
Thank
So
you.
what question, are there questions that I can kind of field or help with? I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah. David, we had
that if you have a question for Lieutenant Naoroz, either I can unmute you, or it's easier if you unmute yourself. That tends to be the path of least resistance on Zoom.
I have a quick question over here. This is Matt Romeo. Do you have any information on the streetlight outages these last couple days? Maymont, Randolph, that's parts of the fan, there were streetlight outages during kind of normal times, and it was pretty dark around here. Any information on that?
I do not have any information on that. That is something that I will definitely follow up on. You're saying that it's going out in blocks?
So they were out. We were gone the last week, but this weekend they were out from about 6 until midnight, I think. And it was just really dark around the neighborhood. So
Just,
And it affected more than just our neighborhood. It was
Yeah.
many neighborhoods, right?
It's Randolph, Bird Park, and the Fan. We have an inquiry into DPU that we put in when this happened. I immediately contacted Dominion just to make sure it wasn't some type of grid outage. It was not. It is a city issue. We are assuming that it might have been for maintenance, but we are confirming that with DPU. And I will give David some praise, and the precinct was extremely responsive. And they dispatched several extra patrol cars on Saturday in response to our concerns with safety. So you all were right on it. Really appreciate that.
Good. I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Yep.
Great.
No, thank you.
Lieutenant, yeah, I think we all, I don't know if people do monitor the next door or your neighbor, whatever the webpage is there.
Yep.
It's, I think we saw Lieutenant Wu's final report for our specific neighborhood, and there really wasn't much. It was all pretty good news. So.
Okay, that's good.
Welcome to Maymont, and welcome to the 313.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
When you come to the Uptown meeting in a couple of weeks, we can talk about some more serious stuff.
You know, I look forward to also learning all the exact neighborhoods and what their issues are. And I hope tomorrow when I sit down with my analyst, she talked about the greatest hits list that I'll be looking at. Some folks I probably should need to know about, and certainly the neighborhoods and what's specific to those neighborhoods. I think, you know, it's funny because the Maymont area, it's one of those things that I'm like, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Frostbite 15K. And if anybody is a runner out there, or you have to deal with the unfortunate runners and traffic during that time, you know that we loop through there on the beginning, and then we come back and we wind our way through. And right when you think you're going to end, you go back into the neighborhood. So it's a
And speaking of that, and this is something that I don't actually have a route for, but I do believe there is part of the rescheduled Monument Avenue 10K is being run through Maymont along Kansas Avenue.
I believe I did hear that. That is correct.
Yeah.
That was something that I heard today, and it's a virtual 10K that I think some people will be running. I don't know if they have a time frame for that, but it ended up being, from what I understand, the city hub.
Okay.
Yep.
It's going to be like, people I think will be running between Friday and Sunday since it's virtual. They didn't want to have big gatherings, but I can send Joy the link that has the course, and so she can put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I think it's more than Kansas. If you follow the signs around the neighborhood, it's over on Southampton and up.
Yeah.
And there's some on Carter too.
Is that a car moving thing, or is it virtual? I don't understand.
So they're
We need to
supposed to
move
be
our cars.
not that I am aware of. From what it was explained to me, it's supposed to be they're supposed to follow traffic laws as far as a runner goes, and they're not going to be shutting the streets down. So
I think the signs were more just like as an FYI to drivers that there's going to be more people on the road.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I interpreted this morning, but you know, it's really weird to suddenly see that appear and you go, oh boy, I missed that route as being a possibility for one of the, I think it was 6 routes that were proposed. But yeah, you know, it'll be good. It'll be
Well,
good.
good. Joy, I want to thank, before we're not ending, but I just want to thank Joy Rodgers, the VP, and Justin Patterson, who you're looking at there, who's our treasurer, and Leah and Caleb. I don't know if you're on there or not. Caleb, our financial secretary. Leah's our secretary. But Justin, you want to say anything about a treasurer's report? You got a treasurer's report for us, or make an announcement about?
Oh, sure. Treasurer's report, short and sweet. Our funds for the past session, which is running a sizable session. We're looking at $3,885.08. Don't forget the 8 cents. But as of right now, due to the unforeseen circumstance of the year 2020, we are suspending dues for the past calendar year, and we're going to make a go at a real membership drive come 2021, assuming we can, and we'll go from it. We'll go forward from there. but financially, as a civic league, we're doing just fine.
Great, great. Thanks. And I guess Mr. Franz hasn't joined us. I think he got the message.
No, he has not shown up.
Okay. Amy, did you want to make an actual statement? You want to tell us all kinds of things. Tell us all kinds of things, Amy Robbins. She might have gone to the bathroom. Where'd she go?
Mark,
Yes.
I have district
You can-
updates for you if you'd like them.
You can tell us all kinds of things too. Just don't move around.
I'm sorry. I know I am on my phone because my laptop died earlier, but I'm going to keep it as still as I possibly can.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
And I will try to keep it brief because we do have a lot, quite a few updates. So I'm going to speed through these, and if at any point you have a question, just let me know. Just interrupt me. So we did, as Amy mentioned, we had close to 60 311 tickets from the 5 volunteers, and plus what you noted, Mark, from our infrastructure walk. The majority of these were sidewalk concerns on Meadow, Kansas, and Hampton, which will be addressed with phase 1 of the sidewalk project. And of course, that phase 1, that's VDOT funding, and we are waiting for final approval to actually advertise that. Our goal is to have that out by the spring of 2021. And Mark and Joyce, if it's okay with you all, we've requested for DPW and Urban Forestry to come and talk about the proposed sidewalk improvements, and discuss any trees or additional infrastructure needs that VDOT may have in order to complete those sidewalks. Is that something that you all
Yes.
would? Okay. And they can come with, we're asking them to bring maps and come with every detail that they're prepared to talk about to get feedback. And
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yep. So just a quick update for you on the GRTC route. This is Route 78 that goes the Cary Maymont route. We are doing a change to that schedule, and is going to operate during the weekday every 40 minutes. And that is something I know, and I know, Mark, when you and I have walked around and talked with seniors, that is something that they have asked for, and we've pushed for quite a while. So we are really happy to announce that. So any seniors that you talk with, help us spread the word on that. Also help us spread the word with seniors. We have a bill coming before City Council on the 28th. And that is a vote to extend the elderly tax relief program. And the elderly tax relief program is an absolutely critical financial relief program that basically drops the tax assessment, the property tax for seniors that have under a certain income, $65,000 a year, and under $350,000 in assets in the bank, and your house and the value of your land do not count against you with that asset count. We are extending that application and opening it back up, which means that the seniors that just received assessments and may be in shock and not be concerned about how they're going to make payments on those assessments, that application is going to open back up for them and hopefully provide a much needed financial relief for them. So that vote again is coming up on September 28th. And if you know a senior that wants to apply early for that, it's the same application. You can have them apply through the city assessor website. I can send that link to you all so that we can help get the word out to our seniors. I am sure that that is going to be a much appreciated effort.
That should be on our Facebook page, perhaps. That's a biggie.
Yeah, so we are. I know Amy and I talked about that. When that goes through, we are going to post that on everyone's Facebook page, but I mean, we need, you know, we might need to post that one multiple times, and also go. I know, Mark, a lot of the seniors in your neighborhood, I know, don't have Facebook, because I've asked them what's their preferred method of communication. It is phone. So we might need to go door to door and let them know about that, because they will qualify for the abatement for this year, which is important.
I would be love to do something like that. Maybe we could target something so we're not just handing out paper. I'll be happy to walk around and do that. So.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. It'd be good to get a couple of volunteers and maybe get the word out about that program. We actually have, we were talking about that today. As you all know, we set up a senior volunteer network. So we have some volunteers already in tow that we could call upon, or we could send a call out through the through the Maymont Civic Association. I have the list of everyone over 65, so we can knock that targeted list, and we were going to prepare bags for them with the elderly tax relief application itself, and some other resources for our seniors. So if anybody would like to go, you know, get some folks to go out with us, we have that list. We could absolutely do that. We're going to make those bags this week, so we could get that together.
Just to confirm on that, that is going to be coming before City Council for the vote this week, or? Okay.
Correct. Next week on the 28th.
Next week. Okay.
And as soon as we vote on it, it's in effect. So
right.
Yep.
The only and to loop back around to the 78, when is the new route going into effect? Every 40 minutes to run. Is that immediate, or?
I think it was actually effective September 13th, last Sunday.
Yeah, it's the same route, Justin.
Right,
and
right. Yes.
I would encourage people to use the 78. It's amazingly easy and fun to take a bus to Carytown and take a bus back, or just ride to Carytown and come back on the same bus. It's pretty amazing. Or to get downtown. And if we keep using it, they won't change their minds about having it here altogether.
Sure.
So keep using it. And
yeah, we're excited about that. Definitely help if we want to do a repost on that. I don't know how well GRTC and probably our how well we did in getting the word out on that. So I mean, we can repost that and get that to the neighbors. Just let folks know. That'd be awesome. The traffic calming resolution is going to be heard in tomorrow in land use. This is to impose enhanced speeding penalties to basically south of Harrison Street between Idlewood Avenue and Randolph Street, and the portion of Colorado Avenue located between Randolph Street and South Allen Avenue. This was the recommendation that came out of several speed studies, and hopefully will bring some traffic calming to the area. Just wanted you all to be aware that that's being heard tomorrow in land use. And if that goes forward, we will absolutely let you all know. Elections coming up, key dates. Just we've had a lot of traffic, a lot of questions to our office about elections, and keeping track of it all is a challenge. So I'm trying to remember just the key dates and some key bullet points for you. But September 18th, this past Friday, we had no absentee voting began. That means that you can go down to our new location, 2134 West Laburnum Avenue, and go cast your ballot from now until the 2nd of November.
Just as a quick aside, God, everything's coming back to the 78 for me. Has there been any talk? I know Kirk was trying to work with GRTC to get better accessibility for GRTC going out to the West Laburnum location. Where do we stand on any of that? Has there been any progress in getting that fixed?
Yeah, that's
Because-
a big
yeah.
one. For me, being a disability advocate, my day job, I was pretty. I find it's a hard pill to swallow for me that we don't have a plan for transportation. This Monday, we wanted to give them a couple of days to get us, their plan, because I did hear the same as you, that there was going to be a transportation plan. We followed up with them today. Amy, did we hear? I do not believe that we've heard back, but Amy might.
No, yeah,
Oh.
unfortunately we didn't, but it is definitely a conversation that is circulating through our office and throughout City Hall.
Well, let me ask on that is people are still confused. The downtown registrar's office is now closed, and then there's been rumor that it was going to reopen. Downtown is a lot easier for a lot of residents to get to than 2100 Laburnum, but there's a number 91 bus that goes out there to Laburnum. But is the office going to open downtown? Is City Hall going to have the registrar office again before Election Day, or no?
Yes, and that's pre-election day voting location. So not for the length of time from like now until November 2nd. Now there will be 2 satellite polling places. So we do, that is all going to be on the one pager that was sent out, that is going to every household in the district.
Good.
I mean, in the city rather. So all of that information about where you can vote, the 2 satellite polling locations, which are going to be on, one of them is in City Hall, the other is in Hickory Hill Community Center. All the dates and everything that you need to know is going to be on a one pager that is being sent out to every resident in the city, along with a absentee ballot request form with return postage. So we're hoping that if folks really can't get to the polls, every single household is going to get mailed an absentee ballot. And so, the advice is mail in that request form. Your ballot will get mailed back to you. You don't have to worry about going in person at all.
Yep. And just to clarify, like the satellite locations are going to open the second Saturday before the election. So I believe that's going to be October 24th that you'll be able to go into those locations.
And Laburnum is open now.
But Laburnum is open now.
And Amy, if you could, because you've been really good at it thus far, if you have a list of the satellite polling locations that you could post in the chat so we could share those out, that would be fantastic.
We'll put them on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually have it copied and pasted. Amy, hold on. In any case, we've had a number of pieces of legislation go forward around public safety and criminal justice reform recently, and much coming up. We are working on getting eviction information out. Our eviction program went live about a month ago. The eviction moratorium was lifted. For Maymont, a lot of the properties unfortunately will not qualify for the eviction assistance program on the state level. So that the local eviction diversion assistance program that we have is really the silver bullet for a lot of those folks. We do have quite a bit of renters in Maymont that I have talked to that were either restaurant workers or industry workers that are struggling financially. And so we're trying to get the information about the eviction diversion program out to them to the extent that we can, but we can't catch everybody. So if you do see a neighbor, if you find someone that comes to you and does share or reveal that they're going through some struggles, rvastrong.org is a fantastic resource, and all of the eviction diversion program information, and a host of other resources. Financial help for our citizens is right there on that website. In any case, any questions that you all have? I know there's a lot going on.
Anybody?
And again, if you have any questions, I do ask you to unmute yourself. I can ask you to unmute, but not exactly a one-to-one.
Good.
Okay. Oh, also, Mark, I do want to note, we've had a number of calls about assessments and the assessment letters that have gone out. I went on the city assessor website, realized that there was really not a lot of information about the how and why, and that folks, I think, largely are just in need of that information to understand why, you know, they've seen increases the way they've seen, what they can do about it, how the appeals process works, et cetera. So we are getting a one-pager together, and we'll share it with you all as soon as we have that put together.
Thanks. Okay, that's helpful, because it's kind of always a shock for people, but living in the city for the years I have, that's kind of what happens here, I think. So, and we have some new homes going in that are fancier, and okay, thank you.
Larger.
Hey, you guys, this is Libby. I have just a quick question.
Yep.
Can you all, am I on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
wonderful.
So basically, I just feel like tonight our gathering is in large part those of us who are easily accessing devices and, you know, we're doing what we're doing because it's easy for us. And I am thinking there are so many folks in our neighborhood who are not going to be on here, but need a lot of this information, even from what Andrew was sharing about the energy audit. You know, folks who could really use an awesome $45 bargain to figure out to do their energy more efficiently in their home. So could we create an informational flyer that has all of this stuff, but is physical? As you all know, Mark, especially
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I've got some young guys over here who always love to distribute flyers for a small fee. So let me know.
I knew there was a good reason behind that. So yeah, it's a great idea.
So Libby, earlier we mentioned we were making bags for the seniors that had the elderly tax relief program information in it. Amy, it sounds like you may have 2 volunteers to help you put together those bags. It sounds like you're suggesting to put in the energy audit information as well. If there's anything else that you all think would be helpful, besides the information that we just listed, you know, or information that you just want to communicate to your senior neighbors, as neighbors, you know, let us know. But we have some volunteers already that can go out and distribute, but it'd be awesome to get some Maymont neighbors to come out. I'm sorry?
Libby runs a crew. We're all set on distribution. She's got the system. So
Voting information would be good to have too.
Yes, voting.
Yeah.
Betsy Carr, I'm with you about that. And I think also, Mark, maybe that would be a great chance to say, introducing your civic league, the names of you all 5, and a way to contact the 5 of you.
Well, your crew just handed out a letter to 380 homes that had that, and contact information on the 12 candidates, depending on how many mayoral candidates there actually are. The 12 candidates, and I'm so sorry to hear that there's not some easy way. I don't know if we had any candidates sign in other than our incumbent councilperson, but all I can say is it's difficult to run races, you know, like this. I can imagine, and you know, having attempted a city council race or 2 myself, I don't know what's, you know, try to get in touch with people who could Facebook, talk to neighbors about ways they can access these people's accounts or phone calls. We're getting flyers and people walking around, but it's certainly difficult to run a campaign this way. So. And people are voting already, so it's tough. No, I have no solving solution to that other than, Amy, maybe there should be a way that we could keep things on our Facebook page, but to Libby's point, only certain people are getting the electronic media.
Wonder if you could do a robocall to the neighborhood with the key information.
Yeah, that'd be so tough. And I know what that costs. I mean, that's, how would you rep, 12 candidates for 3 different
Oh,
offices?
okay, you're talking about that. Okay, I thought you were talking about other things.
Yeah. So,
Yep. And I will say for the bags that we are building, they have a lot of information about the aging and disability office, other resources for seniors, resources for how to build emergency kits. It has quite a bit in it, but I'll touch base with you and Joy tomorrow to make sure we add the neighborhood specific items for the Maymont neighborhood.
that's great. That's great.
And if I may, just any sort of information to try to point our seniors to, one, the fact that the registrar's office has moved out to West Laburnum, and any, I know that obviously, again, this is something that's a moving conversation, but any sort of public transit options that may be going into place to get out there.
Yeah.
Anything just to try to push the accessibility of that. That's something that I'm, personally really worried about, knowing
Definitely.
some of my neighbors. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. And I will say that the seniors, as soon as we started having really honestly, they've been communicating since the primaries about making sure that they're getting their absentee ballots or where they should go. So, I mean, I probably talk to 2 to 3 seniors a day, but I agree that we need to make sure we lock down the transportation for them.
And that's something else that, I know that there are nonprofits that are working towards carpooling to polling locations as well as registrar's offices. I don't know if that's something that we could try to work with in order, either through Nextdoor or just word of mouth, but anything to make those sorts of things more visible and more readily at hand.
Right.
Idea.
Right.
I think if you all can come up with a couple names and numbers of volunteers within your neighborhood, I can also put that into the bags.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That's great. Well, we'll speak. We'll coordinate that, and we're probably calling on your army, Libby. That's it. We're gonna ask questions of the people left online. I didn't want to have any other statement after that, so we can go to questions. I just want to say thanks to everybody and those that are attending this Zoom meeting who haven't been to a regular Maymont Civic League meeting. This is very different. Things are changing. We live in a changing neighborhood during a changing time. But the Civic Association, to do an ad for the Maymont Civic League, because I'm the president in a long line of people that come before me. We have been meeting in one form or another until this year, I guess, 5 times a year for about 60 years now. Is that about right? From 1958. So pretty much we stick to schedule and do things the way we do. So, but you get a free pass on dues, and we're gonna collect dues again in 2021.
Mark,
and that's it. Questions?
Mark, before we move through to questions, Betsy, did you have an update for us that you want, or anything you wanted to share?
Just want to continue to be available for folks. You probably read in the paper how we are in a special session, and I think we've been pretty productive in the House. We've passed a number of criminal justice issues, and now we're at the point where we reconcile our version with the Senate's version. We'll be working on the budget this week and next week. Anything new that's, because our resources are considerably down, anything new that comes up or that we put in the budget because of criminal justice or other things, that'll have to come out of something else that's in the budget. Those are just some of the things, but probably in about 2 weeks, you'll see the final, final thing. You can always go on the General Assembly website. We'll have session 2 days this week, I think, Thursday and Friday. They're always like today there was a general laws committee. Tomorrow there's a public safety committee. So you can watch the testimony and the bills being considered online if you have any questions. But please feel free to call me, my office, probably be best to get me right now because the office, we're still doing remote. So if anybody needs my cell phone, it's 804-986-6852. And be delighted to help with anything I can. Just FYI, I went over to the voting at Laburnum on Friday and was very pleased to see the parking lot full, loads of people there. The people, the constituents I talked to who'd been there had been very pleased. They might need to wait in line a few minutes, but they said everything was very smooth and they couldn't have been more pleased. I also had heard at the beginning that it was very difficult. People were concerned that people would end up on I-95 instead of at the voting place. But when you get down there, I don't think there's any chance of missing that because there are, campaign signs all over and big banner saying vote here. So I think so far so good on that. I have heard from people on the south side who feel like, some of the issues that have already been raised about not being able to get there. But we do have the place at Hickory Hill and the downtown area that 1 week before the election. But anyway, if anybody has any questions, I hope you'll stay in touch with me. Thank you.
Delegate Carr, thank you. The most accessible delegate in the planet. I'm telling you, we are lucky to have somebody right there. Just keep an eye on the General Assembly and you can get her.
My pleasure.
Yes, we are.
All right, any questions out there that you want to aim for anybody or questions for the panel? Frida, Tanya, anybody out there listening still?
I have a suggestion, and it's an old school suggestion as far as campaigning, getting that information out to seniors. I remember coming up in this neighborhood back in the day when there was a bullhorn and somebody on the car announced the information.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That's not too much back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking maybe on the day that the information is being passed out on the one-page flyer, perhaps something like that, as far as a bullhorn announcement, would even be more fun, calling people's attention. That way, the old people in the neighborhood, that will bring back memories for them. They may not be able to hear, but
I like that.
yeah. And I live on a corner, and I'm more than willing to help in getting that information out, especially to our seniors. And I've taken the 1700 block of Carter, and I do encourage people to vote. And I have Stephanie sign in my yard. I have a school board runner person sign in my yard because
And
it's
you
a
have
stop
an Obama
sign.
Biden sign in your yard too.
Well, I want one.
I saw an
I'm
Obama
looking for a free
Biden
one.
sign.
I done.
Yours too, Mark. So that's my 2 cents. Willing to help. Mark, let me know.
Thank you so much, Frida. Thank you so much. You're going to be head of that committee with the bullhorn.
Yeah,
Well,
we love you,
I'm
Frida. That's
president.
awesome.
I'm president
Awesome
in
suggestion.
waiting, believe it or not. I have a lot of tickets out right now with 311. So there you go.
Oh Lord. Mark, I did want to, that's an awesome suggestion, Frida. You are amazing. That sounds like the perfect way to get some energy behind or the information we're trying to get out. I will mention, Mark, there are a couple of civic association presidents that I've spoken with that have noted that the school board race in particular has not, since it's an open seat, the race itself has not received probably as much oxygen as the mayoral race and the presidential race, et cetera. And some folks I know have mentioned wanting to do a forum for the school board candidates. And I cannot say enough about how critical the school board, that school board role really is in having a strong advocate that can walk alongside this office and help the people of the 5th District is so critical. I know Delegate Carr knows that firsthand. And so if we could, you might want to reach out to some of your fellow Civic Association presidents, because there's I think a lot of interest around doing a forum.
I think that's a very good idea. That's exactly right. It's important, and they don't have the money to spend to get it out there as much as everybody else. So that's important. I will reach out.
If I could also point out, the Richmond City School Board has been meeting during lockdown and during social distancing restrictions. Actually, there was a meeting that started an hour before hours on Zoom. They are meeting regularly, and they are discussing very critical points of infrastructure for the city. And it is something that is often overlooked. So we can't forget that they are still meeting, and they are still a viable thing during these current times.
Right.
Because yeah, they do play second fiddle quite often.
Good. Well, are there other specific questions out there? I know I got a lot of phone calls, and I mentioned in the letter that we circulated that I know people complain about the parking thing, and that's, of course, changes when the North Bank Park is slowing down like it does now. People complain about the ongoing fireworks. That's one of the things that bothers me a lot, and there's some work being done on that. Come on, people have anything specific?
Well, I do hear a lot of booms around here. Just take it that it's fireworks, but it can be unnerving sometimes.
Frida, I find it very unnerving. I find it really irritating. And last night, I mean, I looked up for me, and on top of the hill here, I hear sounds from all over the place. Sometimes I don't know if it's downtown. They bounce off your neighbor's house. 11:30 last night. I hear Texas Beach, and that's a lot. That's going to be down the river, over the river at the edge there, and that's just irritating. That Texas Beach is ongoing, and if you hike down there, there's the signs of fireworks been going on down there. It's just, that's annoying.
And well, and to the fireworks point, Joy, I believe that there was an event at the skate park this past weekend, and there was something with that. I believe there.
There was. I actually had to text someone to find out what was going on. And while I also am not a fan of fireworks, they did have the premiere of a skate movie, which did seem the most appropriate use of the park if you were going to do it after hours. So there was fireworks around 9:30, and I was up late, and I didn't hear them. That noise seemed to stop pretty early on. I don't think the fireworks were associated with the skaters per se, because as I said, I was up and I didn't hear them once everyone arrived. There was also a lot of noise just with mopeds and things like that, motorcycles and mopeds. I think people coming to watch it. So that's definitely not something I think should be habitual, and definitely absolutely not a party place. But for a one-off event, again, it seemed pretty appropriate. I've been trying to turn that over, figuring out how to get the word out about fireworks. I think there's a lot of people who don't realize the impact they have, and just don't think about scared dogs and scared kids and people who can't, it sounds.
Yeah. And I think for me, having been here a long time too, the fact that I live next to one park, two parks, three parks, and a cemetery, there's just, I don't know, there's a natural habitat thing about setting off fireworks and gunfire that's not been a tradition here in Maymont, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think it should be at all. It does travel. I know sometimes they're coming from South Side, and I'm not sure the best way to target. I know the police have said, go ahead and give them a shout if you hear it, and they'll try to pinpoint where the noise is coming from.
Right.
And I will say, I feel like the skate park everyone has done a really good job of being respectful of the neighbors after hours, and usually everything tends to taper off right around 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest. That was just a weird aberration. So for anyone who had fireworks this weekend,
at some point, some signage over there saying, "Welcome to the skate park." You're here at the behest of the Maymont Civic League, and behave yourself might not be an inappropriate.
No, not at all. As I said, I too was curious. So when I found out what it was, I I took a relaxing breath that it wasn't just people thinking it would be a fun spot to have a party.
That might be something to think about for next year, if have an agenda to think about putting up a sign there that is graffiti proof and says, there's old cranky people living here. Anybody else? Come on.
Something else as well for Halloween. And maybe putting candy out at the end of your sidewalk for accessibility for the trick-or-treaters, and that will be total social distance. Any suggestions for Halloween, anybody?
I think that's a really good idea, at least for us, because we have a decent enough walkway.
That's a good idea. I've been turning that over, also trying to figure out. I mean, a lot of the kids will have masks on, which is helpful.
Yeah.
People may not want people coming to their door.
Right.
Even who love Halloween.
I think there's going to be more people this year because I don't think does anyone know, is Hanover Avenue planning their traditional thing?
I don't believe they are.
Traditional thing.
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
But if they're not, then we're going to have more kids. I mean, but
Well,
it hasn't been a huge number of kids.
I think asking people to do that would be really great and encourage people to participate that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Like a planner stand. A planner stand and then have the candy kids, And, yeah.
That in your information bag.
Yeah. Together.
There you go.
So our group gets their exercise hiking around the neighborhood. So knowing that there'd be candy baskets out and we wouldn't have to even just harass people who don't want their doors knocked on would be wonderful.
Sure.
So we can spread the word for sure. And we can, we can ask people to tell their neighbors and ask their neighbors to do it. And also we can just put out some emails and Facebook posts and things like that, letting people know.
It'd be cool, Joy, and I liked Betsy's idea if we can use these bags. At this point, these bags are turning into like IKEA bags, but it would be really cool if there was some way of indicating that you had candy at your house, like, I don't know, like a lit pumpkin or something. If the Civic League had some way of inviting people to participate in this, and also of indicating, like, I guess it could be as simple as turn on your porch light, but that'd be kind of fun if there was some kind of a.
But Libby, you get a sense of that anyway. I mean, you take the most number of kids around here anyway, most Halloweens. Don't you kind of get a sense of the people who want you to come up on their porch and give away candy or not? I mean, it kind of.
Sometimes
it's a little hit or miss.
Home, so.
Yeah.
But I
my
like
porch
this
light
idea.
isn't working, so it's going to be a candle, and it's going to be a plant stand with candy in it. So making it fun for the children.
No,
I think candy and a candle is really nice, Frida. I'm into that. Candy and a candle.
I love it. All right, everyone. I am so sorry. I do have to run. My son is I haven't spent any time with him. I went from work to being on this Zoom call, so I need to go. Spend a little bit of time for him before I put him down. But
right before you go, just has there? I know that certain localities have talked about Halloween ordinances. Has there been any discussion of that city-wise, or is that just obviously small potatoes comparatively?
We have a lot more scary things to deal with, no pun intended. However, the mayor and I were talking about an ordinance potentially to mandate masks in public. And so with Halloween in mind being a sanctioned kind of gathering, it's part of our American culture to get together and gather during Halloween. We're thinking about different ways to make that safe and to make sure everyone is wearing a mask. But that's really, we have not. Short answer to your question is no. Help me understand what other localities have done in regards to the Halloween ordinances.
Well, I mean, there was, the big one, of course, was Los Angeles canceled Halloween, and then Garcetti went back upon the canceling of Halloween because, you know, if you say, hey, I'm canceling Halloween, boy, howdy, are you a villain.
It just sounds.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a jerk move. So you know, again, like there have been New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Columbus for some weird reason. They make the list. There have been mask policies put in place saying that, again, if we are acknowledging that we have to celebrate Halloween, it is part of our American tradition. However, you know, parents need to stand back and wear masks, and kids need to also try to practice safe distancing. And you can't just have a bunch of, you know, 8-year-olds reach into the bowl and just pull your own. You need to have, you know, set aside and little things like that to where, you know, if you're going to have a goodie bag, you have goodie bags that are set aside and set out so someone can get one, and you're not the one kid who's reaching to the bottom of the bowl to pull all the Reese's. You know, just trying to prevent as much contact as possible. And, you know, I wasn't sure if that's, again, it's small potatoes comparatively, but I feel like that's one of those things that, you know, could come into the backside of a city council meeting.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if it went through. And like I mentioned, we've certainly talked about a mask mandate, but canceling Halloween sounds like a plot line for a Pixar movie. I mean, it's just not right.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much.
In any case, I do want to mention, I got yelled at by Amy earlier for not mentioning, my district meeting is on this Thursday. We're going to be talking about some of the work, and I know Delegate Carr, you were helpful on this from the beginning, some of the work that this office and other council President Newbell has done to try to bring free childcare or facilitated learning environments rather to our RPS students. For those of you who have, Libby, I'm looking at you. For those of you who have school age students who are in RPS who are virtual right now, we are trying to open up as many sites as possible at $33 for everyone, or for $0 at zero cost based on your income. And we're also, Parks and Rec is doing pop-up camps. So we'll have more information about different ways to engage kids safely during the school day. And so we'll have Parks and Rec and superintendent cameras there. We've also invited the city assessor, Delegate Carr. I know that's on your calendar, and we'll have Senator Ghazala and a couple of others giving some updates. But that's going to be on our Facebook page, and that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. So we'd love to have you all there. And of course, we can have a more discussion about different, you know, policies and things that you'd like to see in the coming years ahead. But really sending my love to you all virtually, and thank you, Mark and Joy, for hosting, and really appreciate all of you, and look forward to working with you on those senior bags.
Great.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Yep, we're adjourned unless there's anything else. Justin, thank you for hosting.
Yes.
Always happy to help.
All right, do I have a gavel? I need a gavel. Adjourned.
I believe just namaste.
Just said no. All right.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.